Hey, what's up? My name is Jam and I'm here to review The Mommy Club. This was the finale. This was the last episode. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, support a bitch.
Support me, bitch!
Listen, I didn't review last week's episode. My almost 2-year-old daughter, shout out to Zayn Malik. There's an interview I saw of him. It's like, my daughter.
Since I've had my daughter.
Anyway, my baby girl broke the camera that I use, so I had to get a new one. So yeah, that's why I didn't review last week's episode. So I am sorry about that. This week's episode only had like 3 scenes, and it was repetitive and it was mostly rehashing what had happened on last week's episode. So we're just going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about it. So this week's episode, don't worry, I'm going to touch on last week's episodes while I'm talking about this. Because like I said, they were rehashing what happened last week. So this week's episode starts with, so they're going for a boat ride. Ratile has organized this. Ratile was picking up Nunurai, so they're riding, the two of them, since the two of them were siding with each other. And then Mrs. Mops was riding with Happy, and Ms Manche was alone because Ms Manche was the neutral one. I'm going to say this, 80% of this episode I was on Nunurai's side. And then the rest, I was really on Ms Manche's side because I felt like Ms Manche was saying some sensible things. And I feel like Ms Manche is the only person who really, I'm not saying Nunurai doesn't, but Ms Manche like takes accountability. When Ms Manche is wrong and you just tell her you're wrong, she takes accountability and like, you know what, I was wrong for that. So yeah, I think that's why I was really on Ms Manche's side. So everyone is in the car. And let me tell you one thing about Ms Manche, she's going to promote her husband's book. She's going to promote her husband's book. So she's alone and she called her mom and she was talking to her mom. So mostly just the scenes are going back and forth from Happy and Mrs. Mops to Nunurai and Ratile. So Ratile and Nunurai are just talking about what happened last week where Omule got into it with Nunurai's friend Vanna. Remember, Nunurai had already told Vanna about the xenophobic comment, so Vanna was already pissed about that. So when Vanna came, I think she did have that attitude already, but I didn't think that she showed that attitude until Omule started. Like, she didn't start the issue. For me, I don't feel like she started the issue during that flower event. And by the way, that flower event was boring, Nunurai. Next time when you put up something, make sure it's fun. But I also get that flower event was just to... But you said you didn't even know Omule was coming. But you invited her, so maybe you had an idea that Omule would come or production would force Omule to come. So I'm guessing that event was really to confront Omule. It wasn't really because of your events. So, and I feel if you're going to do something for your business, you better do it right. You really better do it right, Nunurai. That's one of the things that pissed me off with Nunurai. So the flower event thing, it was boring. It really was. Where was I? My train of thought has gone. Okay, so Omule and Vanna, yeah. So I don't think Vanna is the one who started it. Nunurai, I remember Nunurai saying, I am forgiving you, Omule. And then Omule started forgiving me. I never did anything to you, forgiving me. Omule, yes, you did. You kind of said as a very stupid comment. So her saying that she's forgiving you even before you asked for forgiveness was a gracious thing for her to do, for Nunurai to do. But it ended up being a big thing. Mrs. Mops chimes in. Happy chimes in. Mrs. Mops, of course, is on Omule's side, which I get. That's your friend. You have to be on your friend's side. But one thing Ms Manche said was, if I'm your friend, it's okay to tell me when I'm wrong. Because Ms Manche was like, what Omule said was wrong. So I would have been like, friend, listen, what you said was wrong. There's nothing wrong with telling your friend that. There's nothing wrong with saying that to your friend. So Mrs. Mops should have just told her friend, listen, saying that was wrong, was out of line. Period. And you could have also told Nunurai, the baby daddy thing was kind of insensitive. Let me tell you this, during the wine event, I didn't feel like her asking the baby daddy thing, if it was, I didn't feel like it was insensitive. But I kind of understood what Omule was saying. If I'm trying to be friends with you and you ask me such a question and I'm telling you it's hurtful, maybe not at the wine event because they were drunk and they were pissed, and even not at this flower event because they were still drunk and pissed, but if I meet with you one-on-one and I tell you, like, listen, that thing was really offensive, I didn't like it, it was embarrassing for me, as a woman you should also understand. Let's be honest, if it's let's put ourselves in Omule's shoes. Imagine, because even Vanna said, when I search your name, it's Omule's baby daddy. Now imagine she's coming to this group where she thinks it's going to be just close friends and all this, and then you ask her such a question. She'll also feel some type of way. The problem with Omule is the words that she used to get back at Nunurai. She should have gotten back at Nunurai, not at Zimbabwe or Bulawayo. That's it. I swear, when Vanna told Omule, I search your name, the only thing I see is Omule's baby daddy. And I went and searched. It's actually Omule's baby daddy. Or Omule DNA. Or Omule, yeah. So I understood Omule feeling some type of way, someone asking her about that. So I got that part. The problem with Omule is the reaction. Your reaction was foul. You could have found something else, but your reaction was just foul. Happy was another one. Happy telling Vanna, you flew all the way from Zimbabwe to come and comfort Omule. Now Happy, that was a good read. I'm not going to say that was not a good read. That was a very good read. But now Happy, if someone gets mad at you for that read, and then you're like, I was just asking a question. I didn't mean anything by it. Okay, then the other person took offense to it. Let them rant or let them tell you whatever. Now and then when Nunurai was like, because when Happy said that, all of a sudden she said that and then she went back to quiet mode and acting like, oh, they're attacking me. So when Nunurai told Happy, you like to, that pity party you throw yourself there, it's true. Happy loves being a victim. She does. She lives for being a victim. In her story, she wants to be the victim. That thing that you asked, it was kind of an insult. For me, it was a good one. It was a good one. But now you're getting mad because someone is mad about it. You knew what you were doing by asking that question. Now in the car ride, when Happy and Mrs. Mops are talking about Nunurai saying you're throwing yourself a pity party, they were trying to twist it and say that, oh, Nunurai is saying just because I'm a widow, I can throw myself a pity party, or people should not feel pity for me and I'm a widow. No, that's not what Nunurai meant. Nunurai meant you can just go and throw a jab, and when someone throws a jab back, you start playing victim, and that's what you do. And then another thing with Happy, when she was meeting, I know I'm all over the place. I'm kind of connecting this episode and last week's episode. I really am, right? So, okay, what should I do? Okay, let me talk about this week's episode. I'm going to dip last week's episode, but let me talk about this week's episode. So, when Happy were meeting up with Mrs. Mops to get to the car, to go to the boat ride, Mrs. Mops asked, like, hey, what are you wearing? She was wearing a tennis outfit, a skirt, a hat, some sneakers, and they're going for a boat ride. Mrs. Mops was wearing a two-piece white. She was looking nice. She was wearing a boat ride outfit. And Happy was like, well, they said that I was ghetto. Actually, Omule said Vanna was ghetto. And then Vanna told Omule, you're ghetto. No one mentioned you, Happy. But like I said, she loves being the victim. So she said, I'm bringing my ghetto self. They're going to see. This is Happy. I want to tell you why I'm saying this. Happy was like, they're going to see. They're going to see me. I'm bringing my ghetto self. Mrs. Mops was just laughing. You know, Mrs. Mops doesn't like to show her real intention on camera. She doesn't. She's very smart with that. She does not. Anyway, they all get in the car. Like I said, they're all rehashing what happened the previous night. And then they get to the boat ride. Who got there first? Nunurai and Rachel, of course, got there first. And then Mrs. Mops and Happy got there second. And then Ms Manche came in later. Now, before Ms Manche came in, they were really not talking to each other. Just hello, hello. And then everybody just went to their phones because nobody wanted to talk to each other. And then when Ms Manche came, Ms Manche was like, oh my God, there's so much tension. There's so much tension. Why are you guys not talking to each other? Ms Manche, you know why they're not talking to each other. Like, let people drink a little bit before you even start anything. Because if it's me, I'm just going to wait for you guys to get a little bit drunk and then ignite the fire. Anyway, Rachel said that she invited them here and they want to just rehash because there is tension and all this. Nunurai started. Was it Nunurai who started? Oh, no. Happy started. Do you feel bad for how you talked to us or for how you acted in your house? And Nunurai is like, how did I act? You were screaming in your house. Happy, this is Happy saying you were screaming in your house. That's so rude and uncouth and it's not classy and all these things. You can just tell that she's gotten these words from Mrs. Mops because Mrs. Mops is the one who acts like she's so classy. Nunurai said, it's my house. I can shout if I want to. And that's the thing. Because they kept shaming her, saying, oh, your baby was crying. Or you kept shouting. Or you kept cussing. And I'm like, in the car ride, you guys were cussing. But now it's a problem when Nunurai cusses. Like, I really loved how Nunurai stood her ground with Happy and Mrs. Mops. It's okay for you two to do it. But if I do it, it's a problem. And it's my house. If I want to shout, I can shout. It's my child screaming. He's not alone. He was with his dad and the nanny. So, is it the first time the child is crying or screaming? That's what Nunurai was asking. Okay, if it was me, I would have gone and checked on it's like, is everything okay? Dude, why are you screaming? Why are you crying? The baby. I'm talking about the baby. Make sure the baby's okay and then come back. But I'm pretty sure Nunurai was like, my husband is upstairs, my husband is with my child, and there's the nanny. He's probably screaming because we're all shouting. But it's my house. I can shout if I want to. I loved Nunurai saying, maybe we shout at our house. So shut up. Stop telling me how to act in my house. Because that's how, especially Mrs. Mops, she's like, oh my God, why are you screaming at your house? With her accent, with her fake accent. Why are you screaming at your house? It's her house. It's her rules. She can do whatever she wants to do at her house. Nunurai told Happy, I don't regret anything I said. So you like to cuss, yes. Because you also cuss also. But it's a problem for Nunurai. And when I think when Happy saw that Nunurai is not backing down, Happy, that's what I'm saying, Happy is all back and nothing. Happy is all back and nothing. Because you came in wearing a tennis outfit with sneakers and a hat like you wanted to fight. You are bringing in your ghetto-ness, according to you. You are bringing in your ghetto-ness. You wanted to fight. But Nunurai is right in front of you right now, asking you questions, asking you, don't you think that comment about Vanna flying all the way from Zimbabwe to come and confront Omule was an insult? You can't say nothing. Because you knew you threw a jab. You knew you threw a jab. And then when it comes to you to just take accountability, you can't. You turn to like this. With your sidekick there, Mrs. Mops. I don't know who's, I think it was Mrs. Mops' sidekick. You're just following everything Mrs. Mops is doing. Nunurai is asking, why did you guys leave so early at my event? Nothing. They're not saying anything. For me, Nunurai would have shut up. When she saw that they're not responding, when she saw that they want to be rude, Nunurai would have kept quiet. But Nunurai kept going and going on and going. I think that's where Nunurai was also like, Nunurai, stop it. Nunurai asked, don't you think the comment that Omule made was xenophobic? Now she's asking Mrs. Mops. Mrs. Mops started laughing and saying, oh, you're delusional. I'll tell you why Mrs. Mops said that. Mrs. Mops knew the comment was xenophobic, but she didn't want to throw her friend under the bus. So she decided to just start throwing words. it was smart. I'm not gonna lie, that was really smart of Mrs. Mops. It was really smart. And now that she has seen the reaction, now imagine if she had said no. So the reaction would have been way worse. No, now she has seen the reaction of people actually siding with Nunurai. I bet you if there's a reunion, she'll sing a different tune. She will say, I was not standing up for what Omule was saying. I could not talk for Omule. That's what she'll say. She'll twist it. That's why she didn't say anything when Nunurai kept saying, just say yes or no. She's laughing and calling Nunurai, you're delusional. And she's telling Nunurai, I think you threw that party in honor of Omule. That doesn't even make sense, Mrs. Mops. That doesn't even make sense. Mrs. Mops, I think Mrs. Mops doesn't respect Nunurai. I think Mrs. Mops looks down on Nunurai. I don't know if it's because she's from Zimbabwe or maybe her money is not as, long as hers. But I feel like Nunurai does not respect, Mrs. Mops does not respect Nunurai. It's either that or she hates how Nunurai is able to stand up for herself. And how Nunurai is able to just not go with whatever Mrs. Mops says. Like the way Happy does. Nunurai doesn't do that. Nunurai really has her own head. Same with Ms Manche, and you can see Ms Manche and Mrs. Mops also got into it. Now let's talk about Ms Manche and Mrs. Mops. Ratile stood up for a minute and left. I think she was going to order for food. And then Mrs. Manche started. Let's talk about what's going on with the three of you. So Nunurai, Happy, and whatever. And me and Mrs. Mops. And Ms. Manche was trying to be the peacemaker. She was neutral. She was really not on anybody's side that night, the previous night. She was not on anyone's side. So Happy and Mrs. Mops are pissed because, one, Ms. Manche did not live with them. And I'm wondering, why is Mrs. Mops mad that Ms. Manche didn't live with them? When Ms. Manche left your party, the wine event, you didn't follow her to check up on her. At least this event, Ms. Manche came and checked up on you and asked you guys, are you guys okay? But she decided not to live with you because she knew you guys were also wrong. Yes, she also felt some type of way about Vanna because Vanna was causing issues and she was saying Vanna should not have started an issue at her friend's event, Nunurai's event. Like, we're here to support Nunurai, why are you causing an issue? Come to find out, Ms. Manche had also started the conversation about the xenophobic comment before even Vanna had started being defensive. Mrs. Manche had started the conversation. Nunurai is the one who told her, no, this is not the moment. I need to talk about my flowers. So you had started it. You just didn't get the reaction that you wanted. But the good thing is when Nunurai, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm talking about Ms. Mops and Ms. Manche. So Mrs. Mops is pissed that Ms. Manche didn't live with them. You see, I think the issue between Mrs. Mops and Ms. Manche is Ms. Manche is, number one, very, very beautiful. Mrs. Mops doesn't feel like there's any other lady who's more beautiful than her. But she can see Ms. Manche is cute. Ms. Manche has the money, and Ms. Manche does have the class that Mrs. Mops tries to portray that she has. Because Mrs. Mops came at Ms. Manche, you're not the host. You shouldn't talk about, you should not be telling us anything. The host is the one who's supposed to be telling us, not you. You should learn etiquette. And Ms. Manche is like, I know what etiquette is. Ratile is not here. That's why I'm talking and I'm saying this. And I'm your friend. I'm both your friends. So that's why I'm just trying to make sure you guys are good. Mrs. Mops doesn't want to hear it. Like, no, you should not talk. You should not say anything. The host, Ratile, is the one who's supposed to talk. Like, she literally did not want Ms. Manche to say a word. Do I feel like Mrs. Mops is jealous of Ms. Manche? Yes. Plus, that bitch is gorgeous. That enough. That is enough for Mrs. Mops to feel some type of way. And I'm guessing Ms. Manche's also money is up there. So I'm guessing that's why Mrs. Mops has a big issue with Ms. Manche. I feel like that's the reason. Beauty and money. Beauty and money. Yeah, I feel like that's the reason. So Mrs. Mops didn't want Ms. Manche to speak. At all. Ratile comes back They're still arguing. Ratile is Mrs. Manche is asking, Ratile, are you pissed because I started talking and you are not here? Like, we're grown-ups. I can talk if I want to. I don't need to ask permission. Hey, Ratile, can I speak? I don't need to ask permission. This whole thing is affecting the whole group. I can speak. I can talk. Nunurai kept asking Mrs. Mops, yes or no question. Was it xenophobic? Yes or no? She's just laughing and saying Nunurai is delusional. She's just laughing and saying Nunurai is delusional. That's what I'm saying. At some point, Nunurai should have just kept quiet. I would have stopped talking, to be honest. I would have not talked to those two. Because Happy is not talking, this one is not talking. Because they know they're wrong. Happy and Mrs. Mops know that they are wrong. Nunurai and Ms Manche. Ms Manche started telling Nunurai, yes, the comment that Omule made was wrong, but also you coming at her about the baby daddy was also wrong, which is true. But this is what Nunurai answered. Are you South African? Yes. When I asked about the baby daddy, did it affect you as a South African? Ms Manche said no. The comment about the satellite dish, did it affect me or did it affect Zimbabwe? It affected Zimbabwe. And before Nunurai said that, I think it was last week. I read a comment. I don't know if you guys have seen, if any of you watch Love and Hip Hop. Erica Mena called Spice a monkey, a blue monkey, and then made the monkey sounds, which is racist as fuck. I saw a comment because a lot of people are saying, oh, you talked about Hassan, fair game. But I saw a comment is, when you're reading each other, you're supposed to read each other. You're supposed to shade each other. So the comment that Spice made about her son, and actually it was talking about her parenting, it only affected Spice. It only affected Erica. But the comment Erica made about calling Spice a monkey affected black people. So when you're reading someone, you're supposed to read that person, not read the community. So what Omule would have done is try and read Nunurai, not read Zimbabwe, not insult Zimbabwe. So you should have insulted Nunurai the same way Nunurai insulted Omule. Because let's not act like Nunurai did not insult Omule. She did. Like, I later kind of felt, I understood why Omule was kind of pissed. Nunurai, you insulted Omule. Omule should have insulted Nunurai. Instead, Omule insulted Zimbabwe. And that's what Nunurai was trying to tell Ms Manche. I didn't insult South Africa by asking the baby daddy question. I insulted Omule. So what Omule should have done is insult me. But she couldn't. That's why she went and insulted Zimbabwe. That's the difference. And then Nunurai started talking about people calling Vanna ghetto and people calling her ghetto. Sister, I said, I could have said, Happy vomiting everywhere is ghetto, which it is. I could have said, Ms Manche, you throwing a glass at Mrs. Mops is ghetto, which it is. And then Ms Manche was like, you have to control your reaction to things. No, okay, yes, we are grown-ups. We have to control our reactions. I understand that completely. And Nunurai told her, did you control your reaction when someone said your child was wild? And she tried to say, I talked to Happy one-on-one, and it ended there. But if Happy didn't apologize, would it have ended there? Bitch, if Happy didn't apologize, it would not have ended there. You would have reacted. The same way you reacted, because Mrs. Mops kept saying, but your child is wild, You reacted. So don't act like you can't react. You can react when someone offends you. But the reaction matters. Insult the person. Don't insult the whole country. That's just what Nunurai was trying to say. I love that Ms Manche said, yes, when I threw the water, that was wrong, and I apologize for that. I take accountability, and I apologize for that. When I asked you about Omule, and you felt like I was starting something at your event, I was wrong as a friend. I shouldn't do that. That's what I prefer with Ms Manche. Not Mrs. Mops and Happy. You came in acting like you're going to do something. Especially the girl who was wearing, Happy was wearing a tennis outfit. You came in acting like you're going to do something to Nunurai. You really came in acting like you're going to beat up someone. And then Nunurai is right in front of you. You're quiet. You can't say anything. I'm not going to respond to anything. I don't have time for this. You're following what this woman is doing. Because I bet you if Mrs. Mops reacted, Happy would have reacted also. Happy would have started shouting or saying some things. Happy and Ratile. I don't know where it came from. Ratile just started shouting. You just sit there and shut your mouth. The reason you're acting the way you're acting, because you told me something that you know if I talk about it, you're going to be embarrassed. And Happy's just there, I am just wondering. And the way Happy reacted made me believe that Ratile does have something on Happy. I wish. If there's a reunion, I wish Ratile says it. I really do. I wish Ratile says it. But if I was Ratile's friend, I would not trust Ratile. If you're my friend, you don't. If I tell you something in confidence, like even Ms Manche said, man, she probably told you this in confidence, and you're here wearing her ass out. So I would not tell Ratile anything, and I think that she does know something because Happy was mute. Happy was just like, "Hi, I'm just wondering. Happy was mute. Happy was mute. Yeah, Happy, that's what you get because you're so open. You're too open. You tell everybody everything. I bet you even forget what you told. I bet you've forgotten what you told Ratile. And then you're like, oh, what did I tell her? What did I tell her? And then you have to go through your phone, be like, what did I tell her? What did I tell her? What did I tell her? I bet you. Ratile shut Happy down. Like, don't, because Ratile was trying to talk to her, like, you came to my house, you keep saying you feel unsafe, I'm trying to talk to you, I'm trying to apologize and all this. But when you go around, you keep telling people you feel unsafe with me. The reason you feel unsafe is because you know what I have on you. Happy did not say a word. Happy kept her mouth in. They were all pissed because it was a boat ride. I think they were in the middle of the water and nobody can run. Nobody can leave. Nobody can storm off. Nothing. It got to a point it was the same thing over and over again. Nunurai repeating the same thing over and over again. That's why I was like, Nunurai should have just kept her mouth shut. They should have kept her mouth shut. They got back to the dock, and Mrs. Mops was like, "Bye. I need a break from this group." So now you obviously know it's the last episode, so they're not gonna see each other. They're not gonna record with each other and all this. She's like, "Bye. We'll see each other another day." Or no, she said she needs a break from this group. She left. She hugged everybody, of course, except Nunurai, and then Happy also hugged Ms Manche. Yes, and then they were living together with Mrs. Mops because they did come together. And then when Happy was leaving, she had left her hat. Nura was like, Madam, you left your hat. Madam, you left your hat. I loved how Nunurai stood her ground with these two ladies. I really did. Because if she didn't, Mrs. Mops would have treated her the way she treats Ms Manche. I don't even like how Mrs. Mops treats Ms Manche. Yes, Ms Manche can go toe to toe, but Ms Manche kind of backs off a little bit when it comes to Mrs. Mops. I don't know why. I don't know if she respects her. I don't know if she loves their friendship or whatever. But Ms Manche kind of doesn't take it all the way there with Mrs. Mops. And I don't like how Mrs. Mops treats Ms Manche. That was basically the boat ride. Omule and what's her name? Omule and Nunurai met up after the boat ride. They apologized to each other. Of course, I am pretty sure Mrs. Mops went back and told Omule, listen, they're saying you say they're xenophobic. And Omule was like, oof, I would not want that. I'm a public figure. I'm an actress. I would not want people associating me with xenophobic comments. I already have baby daddy issues and DNA tests and all this. Now imagine plus xenophobic. So I think it was better for her to apologize. I honestly feel that's the only reason she apologized. I don't think Omule wanted to apologize. But like I said, Omule explained to Nunurai, my friends don't ask me such a question. So I think Omule was like, if I'm coming to sit with a group of girls and we are filming, she didn't expect anybody to ask the baby daddy question. So Yeah, Nunurai, if a woman says, don't ask me about my baby daddy, yeah, you should be like, no, that's not right, that's not right. Basically, that was the episode. I think this season only had like 2-3 good episodes. Only, I think, 2 or 3 good episodes, honestly. The rest, it was some of them was a snooze fest. For the first season, it wasn't bad, to be honest. Like I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 for the first season. It really wasn't bad. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. The ladies were stylish. Ms Manche was stylish. Ms Manche is beautiful. Mrs Mops was also stylish. Nunurai's body, y'all know I love her body. Ratile we can do without. Like Ratile we can do without. We can do without Ratile. Happy is the only person who really gave us content when it comes to the mommy club. Mommy, just the name, the mommy. Happy gave us a lot. Happy gave us the bad, the good, the worst, the ugly, the dirty, the everything. So I feel like Happy really gave us her life. Like we did see her life. We didn't see Mrs. Mops' life, and I don't think we'll ever see Mrs. Mops' life. Really, really, really. Because those scenes with her kids, they were cute, but she knew what she was doing. Ms Manche, she directed us to her mom instead to her family, like her husband and her kids. I want to see the husbands and the kids. I want to see that dynamic. Same with Mrs. Mops, same with Nunurai. We haven't seen your husband or your kids. I'm pretty sure Happy, the fiance, if they're still together, the fiance will make sure he's on TV. I am 100% sure. So the season was not bad. I hope we do have a season 2, and I hope we do get a reunion. I really want a reunion. I haven't seen any news about a reunion, but I hope we get a reunion. Real Houses of Lagos is starting, I think this month. So I'm going to review that also. And I will see you guys then. I hope you enjoyed my reviews for the Mommy Club. If you didn't, also tell me down the comment section. Just tell me. It's okay. Just tell me. And if you like the review, comment and like, share and subscribe. Support this page.